So this is brain-based virality on LinkedIn. If you're in the wrong room, it's like if you're on the wrong plane. I don't know if it can happen anymore, but brain-based virality. So we'll talk about today some high-level things, but you'll also leave here with things that you can actually implement tomorrow. So that's great. Now, let me just set the table. This is going to be super interactive. We are going to hold all questions at the end. So what I would like everybody to do right now is to find the React button. It's that big heart there. Go ahead and give it a click because you're going to be clicking that throughout. So let me see some reactions. Awesome, Ron, you got a party. We got hearts, we got a thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. Get familiar with where those are. Okay, let's get started. So if you guys don't know me, I am Shannon Smith on LinkedIn. I am educated as a lawyer, but I don't practice. So, make whatever of that as you will. But I'm going to be helping you to boost your own reach on LinkedIn. I have some metrics here. I think you guys can see my screen. Nod, say, give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Awesome. Just want to make sure everybody's still alive here. So we'll be talking about how to move your own metrics a little bit closer to these. Also, I have a sales system on LinkedIn. These are some excerpts from clients. So the TLDR is this is why I'm giving you this information today. I actually do know what I am talking about. So with that, let's go into LinkedIn a little bit. So it has transformed
Sorry, Shannon,
from,
can I ask a question?
can
Quick
you,
question.
yeah, Max, could we do that at the end, pretty please?
It was just if we are gonna get the slides at the end of the presentation or not.
Yeah, I'll send them out. Sure. Cool.
Okay, thank you. That
Awesome.
was all.
Yeah, thank you. And also, guys, there is a chat function. I want you guys to find that. It's between participants and React. Actually, right now, what I'd like everybody to do is put their own LinkedIn URL there, and then everybody can connect together. So find the chat, get your LinkedIn URL, and put it in the chat, connect with each other. It's always a good time
Actually, Shannon,
to do that.
I'm going to send everyone a group, everybody who's on here, I'm going to send a LinkedIn group message to so they can all connect directly from there. Make it easy. Don't have to paste anything in here. We're just going to connect everybody in LinkedIn group after the session. And I am monitoring chat for Shannon. So if you do have an urgent question, got to go to the bathroom, whatever, post it in there and I'll funnel it to her, but otherwise she wants to take all the questions at the end.
Yeah, and feel free to just use that as you will. Okay, so let's just start. As I said, LinkedIn has transformed from a job board to a conversation platform. I will also say that if you're thinking about doing any kind of personal branding on LinkedIn, now is a good time because they are still in need of content creators. And I will tell you why I believe that a little bit later on, but it's not too late. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, these people have whatever, a million followers, it's too late for me. That's not true. And a personal branding, actually, and this is on the bottom here, if you do your personal branding done well and done right, you can have immediate sales with any business you start, invest in, or support. So there's a lot of validity to creating a good, robust personal brand. So having said all that, people engage with people, not necessarily companies and brands. So when you are thinking about building the site and this page for yourself, think about the human connection, the authentic connection, and we will be going very deep on those fronts today. When you're thinking about creating a post, Many people, when they're just starting out, just go into the full sales post. I've only got 5 spots left. Do you really now, Jan? I think you've got more than that. So the point is to tap into the limbic system, that emotional resonance, making it relevant for your ICP, getting past their RAS filter, that reticular activating system, and having a sense of consistency so they can trust that you're going to be posting stuff. They're going to go and look and see, oh, what is Ron up to today? So it's a great platform for sales. It is the most affluent social media platform out there, and there's a lot of opportunity. So I'm biased, but I think LinkedIn is great. So let's keep it moving here. What I would like to know is how many of you are confident that you know your ICP well? Please put yes in the chat or give me a thumbs up, any kind of indication that yes, no. Okay, Ron, you got yours.
Yes.
Yes, let's see others. Reasonably well. Shannon, yes, not confident. Okay. So we're getting like a mix of confident, not confident. ICP, by the way, stands for Ideal Client Profile. So this is a person that you are essentially sending love letters to if you're making posts, that you're talking to all the time, that you're thinking about all the time. Now, I've shown this before, but it just illustrates a point very well. So our deep, our dearly departed Ozzy, unfortunately, has just passed, is compared to King Charles now. Need to update this. But if you look at the demographics, they're all the same. So if you only look at the demographics, then you think you're talking to the same person, but clearly you're not, because one is a king now, one has eaten a bat, done some other questionable activities. So it's important that you go deeper. And here's an example of what I mean by deeper. Now, this is a huge list. And while you don't have to know all of the things, the goal should be to try to understand as much as possible. And so these kind of behaviors, values, systems, beliefs will help you to better understand your ICP. And why do we care so much? Why do we need to know so much about the ICP? So when someone hires you or thinks about hiring you, what they're going to think in their head is, and I'll just use Ron, can Ron give me the result I want? Can Ron solve my problem? So you've got to get their language. You've got to understand how they're thinking about the problem, how they're thinking about the solution. Because if you are not talking about that, and if you're not showing that you understand them, then they are very unlikely to sign with you. Not impossible, but it's very important. So you really have to understand their language. Not only that, but I don't have to tell you guys, we are inundated. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. I totally just sounded like a Valley girl. Inundated with information, with posts, with reels, with commercials, all the things. And so if you're going to break through someone's attention barrier, it has to be highly relevant. And the neuroscience part, the thinky part, is the RAS filter that I kind of hinted about before, the reticular activating system. So we each have a filter of what is relevant, what is important, what is interesting. And if we're not speaking the ICP's language, we're not going to make it past their filter, and they're just going to keep scrolling on by. Okay. Okay, so do you know their language? Do you know your ICP's language? Anyone confident to say they know their ICP's language? Okay, it's okay. It's a journey. It's not a destination, a lot like life. So let's talk about subtext a little bit. Subtext is the stuff that you think about, but you never overtly say. So it's your inner dialogue, your innermost thoughts that you think, but you don't really, say out loud. It's more like an internal conversation. So ideally, you want to tap in to your ICP's subtext. And what the heck is subtext? Give me an example. So here's some examples of subtext for my ICP, which tends to be small business owners, founders who are good at what they do. They have a passion for helping people in some fashion, but they are not great at sales. They don't feel confident. So a lot of times they'll think, I don't want to seem pushy. I don't want to seem salesy. I mean, if I'm that good, they're just going to reach out to me, right? Like, I don't need to do any outreach. I'm way too busy creating content to do any outreach. So these are the internal, innermost thoughts that you want to tap into, that you want to put all over your free landing page, which is LinkedIn profile, your funnels, your content. If you can demonstrate that you understand them, then they are highly likely to go and want to work with you. Okay. Subtext and content. So really, the subtext is the foundation of all of what you do, because every single post should have a purpose as to how it takes you closer to your ICP. Ron, really quick, are we recording by any chance?
We are. Is that okay?
Or you want me to? Here, I think I got it.
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, I thought we
So,
were recording. I think Zoom is automatically recording.
So Emily, what do you
Okay.
do at Academy?
I am a
I've got Shan's helper in here so that it'll record the whole thing. So we can send that out. But yeah, so the subtext is the foundation of everything you do. It needs to be in everything because they need to understand that you see them, that you understand them, their problems, and what they want. So that needs to go everywhere. And, as this says, the best performing posts don't talk at your audience, but they reflect that inner voice. And that's the subtext again. So some examples, looking beyond the job title. What are they afraid of? What are the hesitations that they feel? What are they hoping for? Again, what are they thinking but not saying out loud? Viral content feels like mind reading because it mirrors what they care most about. I saw this old clip it was John Lennon, and there was this guy, I think in the 60s. Sorry, I don't know the Beatle history, but there was a guy who had hunted John Lennon down and swore that he wrote one of his songs particularly for him. That is the kind of feeling interaction that you want to go for if you're going to the trouble of making posts. You want someone to say, Ron, were you in my head? Were you reading my mind? Because that's what I think, and I don't really talk about that. So that's ultimately what you're going for, okay? And then again, you got to use their language, figure out their language, how they talk about it. I have a lot of clients. A lot of them will say, I help high performing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. How many of you, raise your hands, know of anybody who describes themselves as a high performing anything? Hey, I'm Shannon and I'm a high performing, blah, blah, blah. No. So you got to get the language down so that you get past that RAS filter and people pay attention to you. Okay. Let's transition to the post formula. Let me take a sip of my carbonated water. the hook. The hook is probably the most important part of your post. There's 2 lines. You give 1 line, space, and another line. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. Mainly it's easy to read. It's what LinkedIn shows you on the preview. And the other thing about this is that it's kind of like a teaser for someone to read your post. Because even if they're maybe commenting, 99% of the time, they're not really sitting there reading all of your post. They're going to be scanning. They're going to be like picking out the important parts. So they need to know if it's worth their time to even scan because there's millions of people who are posting on LinkedIn and any other platform out there. So the first 2 lines need to tell the reader what the post is about. Also, it needs to be catchy. You got to get their attention with it. So it's a very important first 2 lines. The other component that's really important that we'll talk about in a second is the visual hook, which is almost just as important, but there's a word hook and there's a visual hook, okay? Story. We are storytellers at heart. It is the oldest form of marketing. I mean, how many of you perked up when I started talking about John Lennon versus just, all this data? People like stories. We're just human beings. That's how we work. So sharing stories that make people feel something will always help your post as long as it's real. I'm not saying go out there and make up crazy stories. Share a story that is real, that touches and activates that limbic system, that emotional side of people. They want to feel something. An insight. If it's like a middle of the funnel post and you're trying to position yourself as an expert, you want to deliver some value. Well, you always want to deliver value, quite honestly, but you want to take it a little further to where maybe they say, oh my gosh, this Ron guy made this post the other day and I implemented what he said and I actually saw some results. So he probably knows what he's talking about. So maybe I do want to go work with him. So it's got to be value added all the time. Okay. Design. Like I just said, the visual hook is almost as important as the hook. We'll talk more about design in a smidgen. And then the CTA. So it could be a follow, it could be a share, but it's got to be very clear as to what you want the reader to do. Sometimes it's a lead magnet. Click here, get my lead magnet. Click here, get a clarity call. Whatever it is, it just needs to be very clear. People need to be told what to do in this capacity. So you have to tell them a very clear and concise CTA. Also, if you want engagement, you have to give them like a softball. So a lot of times you might see these as a PS. So, what is my hair doing? PS, what is the most brutal truth that you've experienced? Or have you experienced this? Or, whatever it is, just give them something to comment about. Because sometimes people just, maybe they're not thinking or they're multitasking, but if you give them that softball, then they're going to be more likely to comment, which is going to be more likely to help boost your post. Okay. Here's some examples of posts that have done well for me. So this was a Simon Sinek video. Toxic leaders don't just appear, they're promoted. How many of you, raise your hands, give me thumbs up, have had someone promoted and you're like, how the heck did they get promoted? They're toxic. Jonathan, anybody? Let me see those reactions. Okay, yeah. Happens a lot because people get promoted because they're good at their job, not necessarily good at managing people. So a lot of people can resonate with that. They've lived it. It's emotional. This work is hard. It's So keep it light. Your brain needs it. You know, I talk about the neuroscience of being silly and fun. And if you're waiting to be perfect, you'll be waiting forever because nobody's perfect. You got to just start and be willing to suck at something at first. Okay. So those are some examples. All right. Let's talk more about hooks. So here are some example hooks. Feel free to use any of these if you want, as long as they're, you know, true for you. I almost walked away from my business last month. Here's the one thing that changed. I mean, you guys have also seen these kind of hooks on, you know, even news channels and like Huffington Post. It's like, your doctor doesn't want you to know this one thing. Like there's a reason they keep doing that. It works. So people want to know what the one thing is. Most people in the startup industry believe that the nail industry is a safe bet. Here's why I disagree. So people want to know, oh, they're disagreeing about this. I wonder if that's a valid point of view or not. I need to find out. 10 quiet habits that scream confidence without making a peep. So this is one of mine that did very well. And this is like kind of like a double click into the psychology of someone because when you are posting things, you want people to repost your content. That's the best metric that you can work on getting is number of reposts. If you are someone who's thinking about making a repost, you want to share something that is going to make you look smart, or you want to send a message to somebody kind of covertly. So if I repost 10 quiet habits that scream confidence without making a peep, then I'm saying, hey, I'm confident without making a peep. If I said, you know, 7 signs that you have a toxic boss, and I repost that, you know, it's saying something. Maybe it's saying I have a toxic boss. And I'm like, this is the only way I feel safe in sort of voicing that. So you can get a couple steps in to somebody's head. Hold on, I'm gonna have a coughing fit. I got a cold on a Scopolos ferry. So you can do that double click and get into their mind and think of what they would want to post. Okay. Another post that has done well for me is they said layoffs were about cutting costs. Lost the S somewhere there. Then their stock jumped 3% after the announcement. Layoffs are prevalent. I think almost everybody at this point has dealt with a layoff either with them or in their immediate circle. So again, this is like an emotional post. People resonate with it. And it's like, yeah, what the companies are doing now is not great for the employees. And we're seeing that. So it's like calling out a truth. Okay. And then 5 subtle ways you command respect without even trying. That's kind of similar to the 10 quiet habits. It's on like, I'm reposting this because I'm looking smart. Like, I command respect. Okay. All right. Let's go to visual content that gets clicked. And hold on a second. These. Okay, couldn't find the mute button. Sorry. So we are visual creatures. The brain part here is the occipital lobe. Humans are just visual creatures. Also, our brain processes information a lot quicker when it's visual, like 60,000 times faster. So we are wired to notice images before we decide to read. That bold visual is the brain's clickbait. So this is why the visual hook is so important. And so I'll talk to you about another story that one of my communications professors told me way back when. I tried to find some validation on it now and couldn't. So I'll give you that caveat, but it's still a pretty good story. Okay, so back when JFK and Nixon were running against each other, there was a ad that the Nixon camp they launched against JFK, and they were trying to show that JFK was making bad decisions for seniors. So that was their TLDR. But what they did is they showed a commercial of JFK hugging old people, loving on old people, giving them kisses, playing, I don't know, croquet with them or whatever. And over that was a narration of all the bills that he voted against that hurt seniors. So the next morning, the team goes to see what the ratings are, and JFK's ratings went through the roof. They didn't understand, but it was because they showed all of those images. Nobody heard what the narrator was saying. They visually processed the images of JFK, hugging the seniors and so forth. So visual content is really important. And I will say too, when I first started posting on LinkedIn, I did not enjoy Canva. I did not enjoy doing design stuff. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. Okay. So we are visual creatures. Millions of people are posting on LinkedIn now. So you have to stand out. You have to. Otherwise, they're just going to scroll past your stuff. And then what's the point of posting if you're not getting the eyeballs specifically from your ICP? This is not really known. If you use the wrong size of image, LinkedIn will throttle your post. Not saying it still can't do reasonably well, but you have a lot better chance. If it's 1200 by 1500, always look at mobile, see how it looks. There's like a bajillion variables that go into what makes a post go. And if you can at least control for one, then that's in your favor. So there's one of the bajillion. The first slide, if you do a carousel, should be that visual hook. The title slide should be bold, simple, visually engaging. And I'll show you some examples here in a second. And then carousels, infographics, and cheat sheets remain the top follower conversion types of posts. So there's a community that I'm a part of that do these crazy analysis every quarter because the algorithm changes so frequently. And what they do is they analyze the heck out of all the things within LinkedIn. And what they're showing is, and I see it too, is these are the types of content that will convert people into followers. Reach is a different thing. All right, so here's some examples of visual hooks. It's aesthetically pleasing to look at, it's all even, it's pretty. I used to think that, all this stuff doesn't really matter. It's the content that matters, but the visual matters big time. Okay. Other visual hooks, like I use this lady a lot. For those of you who follow me on LinkedIn have probably seen this frequently. She's usually smiling and looking in the camera. That's the visual hook. Also, a visual hook can be, if you've got a decent picture of you somewhere pretty in the background. So these are all examples of visual hooks that everybody can use here. So you guys might be thinking, but what about video? I thought video was the way. And there for a while, I think it might have been 6 months, 9 months, even a year ago, video was the thing. Like when LinkedIn first introduced video. Well, I guess they always had video, but there was a point where they're trying to be more like Instagram and Facebook. Like at the end of the day, the goal of these platforms is to monetize. And so if they can get their users to pay for impressions or ads or what have you, then that's what they want to do. And they were thinking, I guess, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but they tried video, but now video is underperforming every content format except text only posts. Now, there's still a place for video, a very specific place. But in terms of LinkedIn, the numbers are not great. So again, Q2, it's carousels, infographics, motivational quotes, and even selfies do better than video. But video is great for deepening trust with people who already follow you. And yet it's terrible for reaching new people. So this goes back to the whole content funnel. So how many of you are familiar with the content funnel? Give me a thumbs up, or top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Anybody in marketing? Okay. You guys still alive out there? Let's do a reaction moment. It's been a second. See reactions. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So top of the funnel is for awareness posts. So this is reach. So this is meant to reach as many people as possible. Okay, that's the purpose of expanding your network and your universe. Middle of the funnel is when you position yourself as an expert. That's when you're telling people, when you're showing people how this can help them solve their problem in some capacity. So you're giving them value, how-tos or step-by-steps, but it's actionable advice. But they're trying something of yours and it's working in some fashion. So then you become, or your expertise is enhanced. And the bottom of the funnel, testimonials, transformation stories, where your followers become your clients. So if you're going to be posting on LinkedIn, you need all of those in order to boost your reach, to get in front of the right eyeballs with your ICP, to then convert people who follow you into clients. So you got to have all of those funnels in order to build a business on LinkedIn for sure. Okay. Yeah, and then if you do videos, do them for middle or bottom of the funnel content. So demonstrating expertise or a video testimonial from a client. Okay. Let's continue on with the content. So you'll probably see a lot of posts out there that are kind of like walls of text. Who in this call uses Reddit regularly? Nobody? Just me? Okay. There is a TLDR, Danny, I see you down there. There's a TLDR, too long, didn't read. So if there is too much of a lift to read something, again, people are going to scroll right past because there's millions of people who are posting. So yeah, you have to create a cognitive ease for them. You have to reduce the neural noise in your own posts so that somebody can actually get through it. Because if you get like this wall of text or the formatting's weird, or maybe there's just too many ideas in one post, they're not going to read it. They're not going to follow you. They're probably not going to buy from you. So the brain favors content that is easy to understand. And if they're overloaded, probably there's not going to be a response. So the post should read like a complete like super highway, not a construction zone. Okay. So I'll say that now into the body of the post. If you have a reflection, or maybe you made a pivot, people like to hear those kind of stories, especially the underdog stories. So you can share those. Contrarian takes, those usually slap. Just be prepared to back up your point of view. So a contrarian example may be like, you know, I think LinkedIn is dead. If I were to post that on LinkedIn, that would definitely be a contrary point of view, especially for me. And then I would have to back up why. So it just gets people's attention when you bring that contrarian perspective. Client wins, especially the transformations. People want to know the pain and the current state that people are going through because they want to know if they can relate. They want to know if the pain is the same pain that they're dealing with. So they want to understand that transformation story. Those usually do well too. And again, emotional vulnerability, the truth behind the scenes. People want that VIP pass. People want to know what happens behind the curtain. And so that kind of post or the emotional vulnerability. Now, I always put a little bit of guardrails up here because I don't know, I just remember being in a bathroom, like at a club or something in my 20s, and these later ladies like unloading their life story on me. And I'm like, whoa, I don't even know your name. You don't want to get that level of vulnerability. It's got to be an appropriate level of vulnerability, especially for LinkedIn. I mean, there's also a subreddit called LinkedIn Lunatic, where there are some people who don't know that lie. And you got to know the lie. Like you just can't share too much if you're going to have a viable business. Okay. Now, maybe there's some exceptions, some outlier cases out there where it works in their favor, but generally speaking, you got to find an appropriate line of vulnerability. And when you find that appropriate line of vulnerability, you are then creating space for someone to share their own stuff, to send you a DM, to say, hey, that really resonated with me. And you can start a conversation. And that's what this whole social platform thing is about, is having these conversations. Maybe it's a fit for a client, maybe it's not. Okay, now what we're going to do is I am going to talk about another thing, and then we're going to get into the LinkedIn optimization profile piece. What I would like is for one very brave soul to put their link in the chat, and then I'm gonna roast it kindly in real time, but you'll get good feedback. Okay. So think about that. Think about your life choices while I'm going over the last bit. Timing, posting strategy, and LinkedIn do's and don'ts. Post 7 to 9 a.m. for your ICP. They need to be online. If your ICP isn't online, then what is the point? Unless you're just wanting like a place to air out, your inner thoughts. They got to be online. So find out when that is. The first hour really is crucial. So it is important to sort of warm things up. You should have a tribe that you support regularly. Go and comment on their post 30 minutes prior to your own post going live. And then in the 30 minutes of your post, comment on those who are second or third connections in particular. And always leave the question with the conversation with a question, because there's another one of those weird little LinkedIn secrets is one of the variables that they determine a post quality is by the amount, like the thread of like, is it a super long thread on this one comment or is it just one? So you always want to have a deep conversation because again, it's a social platform. They want to see that conversations are happening. So always end your comments with a question. The other thing here is even though the first hour is crucial, you've got about a week of shelf life for your post. So when I said in the beginning that your post could still, well, when I said in the beginning that it was still a good time to be on LinkedIn, it's because they're still recycling material because they don't have enough content yet. You won't see that necessarily in other platforms like Instagram and TikTok. So you have a week of when your post can still go viral. Okay. Formatting clean, optimized for mobile, always, including your profile, plenty of white space, easy to read at the 7th grade level. Kind of kills me to say that, but that's where we are. 6th, 7th, 8th grade level. Don't get more complex than that. Otherwise, you're gonna lose a lot of your audience. Okay, before I go to the next thing, I'm gonna roast somebody's profile. And Jonathan, it looks like you are the first one. So let's do this. All right, you got a thick skin. Okay, tell me really quick, who's your ICP?
Inventors and investors who have questions about patents.
Okay, so first thing that I'm seeing, like, and I'll just tell you what the ideal state is. I know we were just talking about subtext today, but I would want to see the subtext of your ICP's problems here because that is the first thing they see, and you want to hook them as soon as they look at your profile here. I would make better use of this title section with, again, more of the subtext, what you do for people, what the results that you've gotten for others. Your about section, it's not, your about section should always be about your ICP. So again, the subtext, their problem, agitate the problem, and then build a bridge to how you get them to your solution, and then talk about the results there. There's also some keywords that you can plug in here. Like if you look at my profile, you will see that I have some keywords at the bottom of my about section. If the computer freaking loads, it's actually not bad internet for Greece. Okay. So I've just got some keywords here because LinkedIn comes up in SEO, you know. So if you've got some of these key search terms here, it can help you. Top skills, I like you have that. I would activate your featured section so that you can have your past clients give you stars like this and give you reviews. So that's the featured section that you activate and ask for reviews. It's like a Yelp section. Let's see. In your featured section here, I would have your actual offer. So is it just like a billable hour thing, or do you have more of a package?
Almost entirely project work packages.
Packages. So I would put, no more than 3 of what your actual offers are. Like you can see mine, I'm coming out with an app, one-on-one coaching, and my newsletter. So no more than 3 because the brain can't handle more than that. But people want to know exactly what it is that you offer. And so it's a great way to make that abundantly clear in your featured section. Posts. I tell you what, if we have time, I'll come back and review a couple of your posts, but I do want to leave some time for questions. Yeah. So that's a roast. Let's everybody give Jonathan a round of applause, being so brave. Well done.
I can tell you're
Virtual
holding back,
applause is
Shannon.
accepted.
I can tell you're holding back.
Not too much. Not too much. Not too much. Okay. Let's get back to this. Nope. Nope. Where to go? I've got this multiple monitor thing, and I do love it. But sometimes I get lost where I am, like right now. Okay. So, here we were. Here we are. Profile optimization for maximum credibility. So think about your profile more as a landing page and not a resume. The banner should be what you do, for whom, with what results. Use that subtext. So down here, I help not high performers, but I help insert another word that resonates with your ICP, do X without Y, and try to use as much subtext as you can. About is about your client. Again, subtext, pain, bridge, result, BTA. What do you want them to do? And then featured section should be your offers, lead magnets, again, no more than 3. All right. So I got a challenge and I got a special little offer for you guys today. If you want to take everything that you've learned, write one story-based post using what we've talked about today in the next 48 hours, I will be sure to comment to help your visibility. So I would just ask that you put the link in a DM to me, and I will support you in your new post. And yeah, connect with me. I would love to have some new connections. And yeah, thanks so much.
And thank you so much for this. Could you just go back to the earlier slide, please? Just for a
Sure.
couple of...
This one?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So as you know, I meet hundreds of people a week, and so I have no shortage of ideas on what to write a post about. I start writing the post and I go, this should be a blog article because I get this question all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then I always struggle with, should I copy the content of the blog post, which only lives on our website, hard to find, and make that a LinkedIn post? It would be a wall of copy. Or do I just include a link to the blog article with some provocative lines like you've shown us to do there with the hooks? What is better from an algorithmic standpoint? Is having all that content out there and people able to read it immediately better? Or is it better to just have the link to the longer article and just abstract it into the post?
So in an ideal world, the answer is neither. The answer is make it digestible for someone who's in 7th grade and doesn't want to read a lot. I mean, this is the reality of our world today is, I don't expect actually anybody to read my post fully. I expect maybe a scan. And so I think if we have realistic expectations of our audience, it will help both of us.
But some of the blog articles are like about legislation that just passed affecting founders, right? It could be summarized, but you're going to be glossing over. I mean, like, what's the point of writing the post then? Because you could just read that in the New York Times and, not have any context from a founder's perspective of what it actually means.
I mean, that's a great question. What is the point of the post? Do you want to generate, new people for your accelerator? Do you want to maybe enhance partnerships? Like, that's always the first question is, what are you wanting to do with the post?
Well, from a tactical, purely practical standpoint, I get the question a million times a month. I want to be able to say, you know what, I wrote a blog article on everything I have to say, and then cut that conversation down to a minute instead of 5 or 10. and just be able to send them a link to that. And here, read this in your free time. It goes in depth. Obviously, from a strategic level, always trying to enhance my thought leadership position in the industry. So I'd say that's the spectrum from tactical to strategic. It's like I get this question every day. I'm just going to write a blog article and just send it to people instead. I got a lot through LinkedIn. I'm sure you do as well, where it's like, hey, wrote an article about that. Here it is. You can, rather than me sitting there and typing an answer for 5 or 10 minutes. God forbid they want to engage. Don't have the time.
In that case, just make it formatted a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it less of a wall of text then.
And include the link to the longer article if people want the details.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Matthew had a question. Oh, he had to leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have
He
a
asked.
question.
Sorry.
Hey, Max.
Hey, so when I post, I don't only post to my followers, but I also post in groups. But what happens then is that on my LinkedIn profile, if I post it on, for example, 5 groups, uh, the post that appears is always the same post. So that basically I have to I see here my top performances person just left. This I posted it to my followers, but also in groups. And if I just left it like that, it will show these two my top performances person just left post twice. So I have to repost another post that I like from someone else to actually have 2 different posts. Is this normal? Does this happen to everyone or not?
Well, if you are going to go to the trouble of posting anything from yourself, first and foremost, I would not do reposts at all because it just hurts your own reach when you want to build your own content. And then you can get some reach and maybe some followers from these groups, but it ultimately does not count for your own algorithm. So, like if you were to post this in Brain Expansion Group and it got 5 million reposts, it
Yeah,
would
no,
not
I
impact.
know that. I'm aware
Mhm.
of that. But the
Oh,
one thing that I don't understand is it normal for someone who posts both to his followers and in a group to see on his LinkedIn profile 2 identical
yeah,
posts?
yeah, yeah. This guy, he posts quite a bit in the emotional intelligence network, I think. And yeah, you'll see it twice. I don't know if he's done it lately or not, but yeah, it'll show up twice. That's just how it works. Yeah, can't find any.
Kulan had a question.
Okay. Yeah, cool on. What's up?
Thank you for all these amazing tips and tools. And my question is, I have CPG brand, and recently I'm launching corporate wellness business. So in my LinkedIn, these 2 businesses have 2 different targets. One is retailers, and the other one
Mhm.
is for the companies who have 100 employees. So how can I place this 2 nicely in my profile? Or when I post in some posts, I have some struggle which angle I should do, or sometimes like the posting 2 different types of content, it's a little bit weird because the
Yeah.
targets are completely different. So
Mhm.
what advice
Yes.
can you give me? Yeah,
Yeah. Which
this
are
one,
you one of these guys? The top one?
top one. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to look. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people who post on LinkedIn have multiple businesses. I do as well. I only post really about one. You can see that some people have like there's a movable banner
Yeah,
if you want to do that, but it does muddy the message. In an ideal world, you would pick one and you would make your profile about that one because if you're going to sort of mesh more than one ICP, you're going to create neural noise ultimately. Um, Now, I'd have to look into it a little further to see if maybe there's a way that you could, I don't know, sort of marry them or the post could, you maybe there's a way that you could post both of them in some fashion, depending on if they're related or not. It would, it's just by case, but I would say that's more rare than typical.
I
And
see.
most likely you're just going to be confusing your ICP.
Okay.
Arjun had
I
a
know, I
question.
went through that. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Arjun had a question. Your thoughts on using AI to write your post?
yeah. I would say the majority of people use AI in some fashion these days. I think the important thing is that you use it as a way to better your ideas, brainstorm. You use it as a way to maybe make your post better. So I will draft a post and I'll put it into some of the GPTs that I've built that say, how can this be better? Make adjustments or rewrite it. Let me see what you got. Sometimes it's crap. You know, it's like ChatGPT has good days and some days it's bad. Um, but I would say, you know, it's a tool, just like everything else. Use it wisely. Don't just be all AI all the time, copy and paste. And M dashes are characteristic of AI.
Oh, there's a lot of characteristics of AI these days. I have to say I gloss
Yeah.
over them immediately. I've learned to detect them because I've tried using them to write articles, right? And I'll even say, you know, go to my blog, write it in my voice, all that kind of stuff, and still, you know, I gotten to the point where I can recognize when somebody's written some AI stuff, and worse, put it on a robotic release, right? So it's just intended to drive traffic, but there's no actual thought from the person there. It was just
Yeah.
drafted off of the LLM. And I find it to be
Yeah.
a huge turnoff personally.
Yeah, totally. I'm with you.
Anybody else have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Shannon, did you say not to repost? Did I
Yes.
understand correctly? Why is that?
Don't repost. Because when you post your own content, it hurts your reach. So just if you're gonna repost, just repost your own content.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But then, so I still don't understand the answer to my question. If I post in a group and to my followers, is it normal that it appears twice on my profile, or does it happen only?
Yes.
It's
It's
normal.
for everybody. Yeah,
See.
that's what happens.
Thank you.
I have
You're
a quick,
welcome.
super technical question, Shannon.
Mhm.
You said 1200 by 500 pixels. Is there really,
1500.
or sorry, 1200 by 1500? Is there a marginal difference between that and say half of that? Because that's it just load time. And so like I like doing 600 by 750. Is there really a difference on most devices that people can tell?
Uh, it's just what LinkedIn prefers to have images in. So
Okay.
it's like how they processes it or how they process it. Um, and if it's harder for them to process, then they don't push it as far.
Right. So no larger than, but I've been resizing all my images to 600 rather than 1200 just because it seems like there's no difference in what the image looks like and it loads faster. I'm just curious
Yeah.
what the technical, like how it affects algorithm, if at all.
Yeah. from my understanding, it hurts the reach if it's not 1200 by 1500. It must be like they've just got, you know, easy programming for that. I mean, I don't know, I'm not a programmer, I'm not going to make a guess, but from what I understand, it hurts your reach if it's not that.
Okay. Who else has
Shannon, I have one question, if I can, again. What tools do you use and suggest to actually create the images of the poster? So I saw Canva there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Canva, I use Canva a lot. I do all of my designs. I do have some help. My intern, actually, Jerry is here. She's given me some inspiration here. But Canva's great, Midjourney and Ideogram. So Midjourney and Ideogram for the quotes because it tends to do better with text.
Okay.
Because otherwise AI just kind of messes up the text. Like you can see like wars won Vivi Uni. I don't know why it does that.
And
But it does.
a platform are you hosting your web? What do you suggest?
For what?
It could be you have a website, right?
I have a website.
I don't know. I'm asking you. I think you do.
Kind of.
Okay. The question is, what do you suggest any particular platform to actually build a funnel landing page? Like I don't know, System.io, Go High Level, things of this nature.
you know, we're a little over time. Can we limit the scope of the questions to LinkedIn for this particular session? I want to make sure everybody who
Yeah,
has a
but this
question gets a
is
chance.
related to LinkedIn because these platforms they do post on LinkedIn on their own.
You could Kit or Go High Level is okay to use. I mean, there's a
The
lot out there. Those are the ones I
first
have
one is what? I'm
experience with.
sorry.
Kit, K-I-T.
KIT.
Mm-hmm.
So is it kit.com?
Uh-huh.
I see. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, we lost about half the people already because we didn't pass the hour. Do you want to keep going, Shannon, or do you want to go to sleep?
It is kind of getting late for me here. It's about 10 o'clock, so I'll probably go chill.
All right. Well,
If you
thank you
guys,
so much.
yeah, thank you for having me. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions as they come, and appreciate you guys joining me today.
I'll send everyone, I'll create a little LinkedIn group with everybody who's here today so you all have each other's connections.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shannon.
All right. Take care, Max.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Shannon.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.